Hey, Steve here. I want to take just a moment of our time together to tell you about the easiest way to make and host a podcast. It's called Anchor. I use Anchor to make and host Moveable Dough, and I've been extremely happy with the experience. They have creation tools on the site that help you create, record, publish, and share your podcast to multiple podcast streaming sources, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. The best part, it's absolutely free. No monthly cost, no hidden fees. So if you've been thinking about making a podcast, and you know you have, download the Anchor app today or visit Anchor.fm to get started. Thanks for listening, and let's get back to Moveable Dough. Welcome back to Movable Snippets. This is Steve Danielson. On this shorter version of Moveable Dough, I bring you one piece from a living composer and give them a chance to share something about the piece. It's my little way of helping spread all the amazing new music being created out there. Today I'm sharing a piece from composer Anthony Mosakowski. Anthony is a composer, performer, and educator living and working in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. His numerous compositions include works for a wide variety of media and audiences. His special interests include choral and electroacoustic music. Today he's sharing his piece Resonet in Laudibus for SATB choir and horn. I'll turn the mic over to Anthony to tell you more about this piece.
Hi, so I'm going to say a few words about my composition Resonet in Laudibus that I am submitting to your podcast. I wrote this back in 2008, and I wrote it for a competition that was being available that year. I found it through the American Composers Forum, and I believe it was called the Welcome Christmas Carol Competition, something along those lines. The parameters for that year were to write a piece for a choir and French horn. I decided that I would make a setting of the Latin carol or song, Resonet in Laudibus, which is originally, it's German in origin from, I believe, the 14th century. And it is known in many different versions, including a German version, Joseph Lieber, Joseph Mein, which is then translated into English as Joseph Tyrus, Joseph Mein. So it is a lesser known Christmas carol. But I decided that I would take the original Latin text and make a sort of an elaborate arrangement, I guess, so that I would write original music, but that I would also incorporate the original melody into it. So the way it works is that there are two verses. For the first verse, the choir sings basically original music, singing the Latin words in a sort of a dance-like rhythm and meter that shifts between 3/4 and 6/8. And the French horn plays a sort of an obligato melody that kind of fills in some of the intervals and interacts a little bit with the choir with a little bit of some of the imitation and call and response. Then in the second verse, the choir sings basically the same notes that they sang in the first verse, but in the second verse, the French horn plays the original Resonet in Laudibus melody in a sort of a longer, stretched out, augmented rhythm version, and then a faster one. And it just kind of fits together with the choir. One of the reasons I'm submitting this is that it is by far the best recording that I have of one of my compositions. This was recorded by the St. Mark's Church Choir, an Episcopal church in Philadelphia, where I was one of the professional choristers for a while. And Matthew Glandorf, who was the conductor at the time and also a good friend of mine, liked the composition and decided to include it on a CD that the choir was recording. So it's a very good quality recording, a very good performance. It's a little bit faster than I anticipated that the composition would be performed, but I think it's pretty effective. So this is probably one of my most successful compositions because it did have this very good recording. It's had some other performances as well. And I just think it's interesting that I wrote it for this competition. I did mention that. What I didn't mention is that, of course, I didn't win the competition. I didn't get anything out of it other than the fact that I wrote this composition, which then has sort of taken on a life of its own. So I'm very proud of it. It's very representative of a lot of my choral music. It is largely diatonic. It's almost all in G major with a few hints at G Lydian. And I hope you enjoy it.
So there you go. If you enjoyed Resonet in Laudibus and would like to learn more about the music of Anthony Mosakowski, you can find more of his music at anthonymosakowski.com. For my full interviews of composers, check out the full Moveable Do podcast at sdcompose.com/moveabledo or anywhere else you can download podcasts. As we're getting close to the beginning of a new season of interviews, now would be a great time to get your hands on some Moveable Do merch. Visit sdcompose.com/moveabledo and click where it says merch. In the meantime, this is Steve Danielson helping promote composers one snippet at a time.